Ophelia, also known as Shoe Lover 99 on TikTok, has amassed over 2 million followers just since the beginning of this year and has received over 37 million likes. But today's story, it's not about where she's at right now. It's about how she got here and all that she has overcome and lots of trauma. From a dangerous mother to teen pregnancy, affairs, addiction, survival. This is a woman who is a force to be reckoned with, but she has the biggest heart you'll ever meet. Welcome to the story of Ophelia.
Hey, my little tater tot. You know what? I had one of those mamas too that used to tell me I was fat and ugly from the time I can remember. And then as I got older, I quit listening to that heifer, okay? I don't know who told you that you're not beautiful, but I think you are, and I think you look lovely in your dress. You wear that dress however you want to. Don't worry about what that lady says. Everybody else thinks you're beautiful. I do. You got to keep telling yourself that you're exactly what you need to be, from head to toe. I think you're perfect. Bye now.
Ophelia Nichols is TikTok famous, but she is so much more than that. To me, she is the mother to now at least 2 million people at a minimum who are her followers, but to so many more people. She is the mother that she didn't have, and you are going to meet her today if you don't already know her and fall in love with her the way so many of us have. I truly adore her. And it had been sitting on my heart for a while that I wanted to start doing interviews with people who had some potentially larger platforms around mental health issues. And I didn't really know where to get started. But in my heart, when I saw her, I knew it was her. And I had to, put myself out there and ask her. And of course, she said yes. Now, the first time I kind of overwhelmed her, asking, I think, for 2 hours for an interview, thinking about therapy sessions, not really thinking about the fact that she works 6 days a week, only has Sundays off. And I kind of got overwhelmed and just kind of shut down. It's a testament for you guys to also not give up. That I ended up reaching out again and just saying, hey, one more time. And she was like, yes, I can do it in a couple days. And she did. And it's of course something that she said yes to because she is such a beautiful and amazing and strong, and I truly believe smart and funny person, woman, human. And I told her this, and you'll see it when she puts it all together, you just can't stop her. I truly believe there are so many great things coming her way, and she gives back so much. If you watch my channel, you know I talk a lot about childhood trauma, especially at the hands of wounded parents. And in Ophelia's case, that is completely true. And we're going to follow her story. I asked her to really talk about her childhood and her mothering experiences. But today's story really covers mental illness, parental abandonment, teen pregnancy, addiction, infidelity, and at the core, survival and strength. And so I hope you will join me on this interview today. I truly believe your life will be different for it. I'll be showing you TikToks along the way. But let me just give you a little bit of backstory, which is that Ophelia is a 39-year-old mother of 4, and she lives in Mobile, Alabama. Now, in just the last several months, pretty much since the beginning of the year-ish, she has amassed 2 million followers. Last week, when I did this interview, it was 1.8, and I was already working on the notes, and I knew it would be 2 million by today. I just knew it. She is a person who gives love and strength and support. And I'll show you, like I said, sort of how that happens if you don't know her. If you're not on TikTok, Ophelia is the reason to be on TikTok. All right. Before I get started though, I'm Dr. Sage. I'm a clinical psychologist, and this channel is all about mental health and attachment and childhood trauma. And if you would like to be a subscriber and follow along and share your own stories, I would love for you to do that.
my little tater tot. I know you're hurting right now, and I was tagged in your video. I can't even count how many times. Because when you look at me, I want you to see this. I'm somebody that is parentless. I don't have parents. I've got one on this earth, but I don't have her. I made the decision to walk out of her life about 15 years ago because all my mother ever did to me was tell me I was a disappointment, I was a failure, I was a high school dropout, I was going to be a terrible mama because I had a baby at 16 years old, I was going to be nothing but white trash for the rest of my life. I was never going to be anything. Well, I'm going to tell you this. The second I walked out of my mama's life, I became something. Most importantly, I became happy. Okay? Don't you beg anybody to be a part of your life. I don't care if they're your parent or not. Okay? You stand strong. It's going to hurt for a minute, baby, but I know you're going to get through it. I promise you will. I want you to look at me. I got through it, and I'll be there for you if you need me.
Now, let me just give you a little backstory like I was saying. Ophelia was really raised as an only child, though she has 5 half siblings. Her mother had 3 children before Ophelia was born with someone else, and her father had 2. But those children, for the most part, grew up away from Ophelia, and Ophelia was raised with her mother and father. Sadly, at 13, Ophelia's father suddenly died of a heart attack, and he really had been her protector, with a mother who was physically, verbally, emotionally abusive to Ophelia. And Ophelia, at 16 years old, had a baby, and when the baby was 3 weeks old, her mom kicked her out of the house. Nowhere to go, no job, no money, no nothing. So I'm hoping you will see the miraculous fight in this person, in this human, as she has done better and raised her kids better. I mean, truly, she is the epitome of when you know better, you do better. And she has. And she is inspiring. So we're going to start the story here in the interview I did with her, talking about how when you're a kid and your parent has some kind of mental health issue, at some point, often in the sort of lower grades, you start realizing that, like, something is not right here. And so we're going to start with that part of the story, and then we'll wind into the rest of it. I'll be popping in here and there to give you just a little feedback and share some TikToks, and I hope you'll stick around for the whole story because it is amazing, just like Ophelia Nichols. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I really am excited. I was surprised you said yes and very grateful. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
So, all right. So I thought we would start with, as you've shared a bit on your amazing TikTok platform, and I know you're growing other platforms too with your podcast, but just your openness and honestness about sort of your childhood. And can you tell me a bit about just being a little girl, and we'll kind of like work our way up to sort of you leaving home and kind of how you got to where you are today?
Growing up, let's just say for those first 13 years, I'll talk about that. It seems like when I think back and I remember, like as early as I can, which would be like 5 or 6, that would be like kindergarten or first grade. Mm-hmm. I don't remember things being as bad as they got when I got older. Mm-hmm. Like I remember my mom showing up for things like a school play or something like that. But I can remember when the way that I recognized how she treated not just me, but people in general. I probably remember that at about 7 or 8 years old. So it wasn't too long after I had started school that I started to recognize things. The first time I recognized that when she said something to somebody, I knew you don't say that. That was wrong. That was hateful. That was certainly uncaring. But she had this sister who was my aunt, and that aunt was kind of like the black sheep of the family. I loved her. I loved everything about her. I loved her. But my mother had kind of ruined the relationships with her siblings, which I think was 6 of them altogether. But my aunt decided to come and see my mom one day, and it was 2 days after Christmas. And my aunt did not have a lot. She didn't have a lot of money. She was probably a little bit poor, or if I should say that. But she bought my mother a gift, and I guess she couldn't afford the wrapping paper.
she just put it in a kitchen napkin and kind of wrapped it up for her, which I thought was just the sweetest thing ever, actually. Mm-hmm. But, she handed it to my mom when she got there, and the first thing out of my mother's mouth was, well, you didn't have any wrapping paper, and you could have just left this at home. I remember standing at the front door and recognizing right then, I don't think we should say that. I think that hurts my aunt's feelings, Right. But that's about the age I started recognizing that there was just something going on that I didn't like.
So you just saw Ophelia share how she started to realize something wasn't right and that her mom wasn't very kind in the way she spoke to people. Certainly had probably not been kind to Ophelia, but Ophelia began to really make those connections. Now, until she was 13, her dad was in the picture and did serve as a protector. And it makes sense to ask yourself, well, why didn't her dad take her and leave? And Ophelia's about to talk about that and a few things that happened.
Hey, my little Tater Tot. I could not wait for somebody to ask me about my daddy, 'cause I love to talk about him. My daddy was amazing. My daddy did just about anything he could for anybody, no matter what. He was always there for strangers. My daddy owned a car dealership. And people just loved him. If a family come in and didn't have enough money, to put down, he'd knock half the price down for them. He was great. There were hundreds of people at his funeral when he passed, because he touched so many people's lives in his community. And he was real funny, but he was my protector against my mama. So, when he died, that's when it got so bad, because, I don't know. But he was wonderful.
Like, for instance, this one time, I did not wear the right shoes to school. It was picture day. Mm-hmm. And she had laid my outfit out, and I wore the outfit, but I'd changed my sandals, Mm-hmm. And when I got home from school, she seen what I was wearing and asked me, did I wear that to school? I said, yeah, it was picture day. And it was a big deal. Okay. And she chose to physically beat me so bad that I had belt webs on my arm, on my forearm right here, which typically would happen all the time after this, because that's how I would protect myself. But when I went to sleep that night, I went to bed early, because, that's kind of what happens when you just cried yourself to sleep. But I remember being woke up by my daddy coming in there, and I guess I was laying like this, and he seen what was on my arm. And I remember getting woken up to the two of them just arguing it down. Mm-hmm. And him saying, don't do that to her. I'm going to leave, and I'm going to take her from you. And, so I had already been traumatized earlier in the day from her. And then I have to wake up to hear being threatened and took away. And I don't blame my dad for that, because I'm a parent today. And if my spouse would have done that or continued to do that, I dang sure would have made the decision to get those kids and get out of there, because I did. I did do that. No one was harming my children, but I was being harmed. So I did have to do that. So I do understand that aspect of it. But he tried. He tried to do his best. And later on, I had one of my siblings tell me, I asked him, I said, why didn't he ever leave her? Why didn't he ever leave her? And my brother, which is my father's son, responded with, because he didn't want you to grow up without him like we did. Daddy wants to be with you every day. He wants to come home from work and be with you. Mm-hmm. When he divorced our moms, we had to see him on every other weekend and vacations and things like that. He just didn't want that. And if he would have went to the court system, he was afraid that you were going to be given to her, and then he couldn't be there to protect you. Right. So once I heard that, I understood, where he was coming from with that. Right. Think about it. If the court, it's very rare that the court system will take a child from their mother, right. and if they wouldn't have, I would have been with her all day, every day. And there's no telling what would have happened.
Once Ophelia had lost her father, she really became truly alone in the world. And in this next part, she's going to talk about her mom's mental health. Now, I have some thoughts as I kind of reached out to her initially, just saying, hey, I think this looks like this or that disorder. And it seems to be quite complicated. There's no question that her mom, regardless of diagnosis, really struggled. But all of that really creates a situation where her mom is struggling. Ophelia's dad sadly passes, and her mom had often taken to being alone in her room. Although that was normal for Ophelia, it clearly isn't normal in healthy family environments. And it really sets the stage for what comes next in terms of Ophelia navigating life really truly on her own.
Then unfortunately he passed, and it was like, that was it. I was alone. I didn't have anybody because, you know, she had alienated everybody in the family. Grandmother, anybody that I could think of that was a family member of mine did not call, did not come over. They did not do anything because they didn't want to deal with the turmoil and the drama and the so much that came with it. So when he passed, I just didn't have anybody. And she got worse.
Here, Ophelia starts to talk about grappling with her father's loss and that sort of being alone, and trying to make sense of what comes next, because what comes next is as Ophelia is really getting into those preteen and mid-teen years, approaching 15, 16, it continues to get worse with her mother. And so now we're going to check in and hear her talk more about kind of what follows as she becomes really a teenager and a soon-to-be pregnant teenager.
I know that she was diagnosed with PTSD long time ago. I'm sure she was. I know she was. But I know when he died, I didn't see my mama for months. It was like after the funeral was over, she walked into her room, shut the door, and I didn't see her for months. So, I mean, she just would not come out of the room. And I know that she would suffer from depression severely. I mean, severely. It was kind of like a normal thing in my house. Oh, she's just not going to come out for a month or not going to come out for a couple of weeks. It was quite normal in my home. So I didn't think anything of it. But a girlfriend of mine, you know, my childhood friend was like, Ophelia, that is not normal. Not every mom does that. That's not normal. So it kind of took her to tell me that just wasn't normal. But I did. I had to get up. I had to get myself together and get on the bus. And then when I got about 15, okay, because he died when I was 13, I got about 15. She just had no interest at all to even know where I was, if I was going to school, if I was doing good in school. Yeah, it's like the older, from the time I was like 7 or 8 until the day I left, it got worse. Every single year it got worse. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, again, I think about it today. I love my husband to death. He is my love of my life. And I could not simply imagine what it would be like to wake up one day and be told that he has passed away. I don't know what my reaction would be. I don't know if I would grieve like she did. I don't know if I would. I don't know. So I empathize with her during that moment right there. But I know these kinds of things started way before he passed away. So, and I think that his death just kind of added to it a great deal, like a great deal. So.
And there's no question that because she was alone, she had to figure out things like, oh, how am I going to eat and how to take care of myself? And in this part, she shares how certain people in her life have come along almost as angels, guiding her along the way. And this really lets us kind of check in and understand how that begins to help her prepare for, as I said, what comes next. Yeah, it sounds like it. As I've watched so many of your TikToks and thought about how alone you've been from, I mean, not now, but like that little child going through all of that. And I'd wondered if your dad had been in the home because I wasn't sure before he passed if he had been with you. Can you talk about that? Sort of just like learning to take care of yourself from such an early age?
Okay, so a lot of that comes from my childhood friend. Her name is Sarah. Her mom, Miss Jenny. I've spoken about Miss Jenny before on my social media. Well, okay, so Miss Jenny had 4 children and they lived in our neighborhood. And Miss Jenny did everything and anything she could to make sure that all 4 of those children were taken care of, that they had food, they had clothes, that they were loved. But she took me in too. That's the crazy thing, is that when my mother would be in her room and not come out, and this was before my father passed and after, and I would be hungry and didn't know how to cook, I'd run down the street and I'd tell Miss Jenny, and instead of Miss Jenny making me a plate, Miss Jenny would pull me into the kitchen and say, now you watch me cook. I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to show you how to make a grilled cheese. She didn't just enable me and just take care of me. She showed me how to do it myself. And I'm grateful for that. I didn't know it at the time what she was doing, but I know now what her plan was.
In this next part, Ophelia talks about becoming pregnant and having her baby and being at home and trying to navigate life with a newborn at 16. Now, I'm going to share a TikTok with this because she didn't talk about it in this interview, but she has spoken of it, which is that her mother called Child Protective Services on Ophelia while Ophelia was in the hospital with her baby having emergency surgery. So try to even imagine that, right? Many of you can. Many of you who at least I know watch my channel have shared horrific stories of abuse by your parents. But this 16-year-old girl is now facing all of this completely alone. And so here is what happens next. Due to content restrictions and music on these videos, I cannot provide the full audio, but I would encourage you to check them out. Here, Ophelia talks about what it was like to have her own mother call CPS on her, and what happened when the CPS worker came into her home. Another angel on Ophelia's path. These are a touching set of videos, and I highly encourage you to check them out.
Being that I had to leave the home at 16 with a 3-week-old baby, because we did absolutely nothing wrong at all. What happened was we had just been discharged from the hospital because my son had pyloric stenosis surgery. And that's like a blockage in the esophagus connected to the stomach, I believe, that makes it where the food cannot go down into the digestive tract. It's an emergency surgery. So we were discharged and I came home and my mother wasn't there. I couldn't tell you where she was. And about 3 hours later, my mother walks through my bedroom door and I'm sitting on the bed and I'm feeding the baby. And she walks to the door and she says, you need to, very calm, you need to pack your things and you need to leave. And I said, leave where? And she said, you need to go. I don't care where you go. I want you out of this house. I want the baby out of the house. I don't care where you go. Well, I didn't really know what was going on. So I just got up and I went to pack my things. And she said, no, you're not taking any of this with you because I bought it. It belongs to me. You can leave just how you are. I didn't know what was going to happen with that. And I did not, I'm so sorry, my dog is barking. No. I did not push forward with it because I didn't know what really state of mind she was in. And I know I was familiar with her triggers. I was familiar with if a episode is about to happen, I knew something bad was about to happen. So I did. I just grabbed the baby, no car seat, no nothing. I did get a diaper bag. And back then there wasn't cell phones and she wouldn't let me use the home phone. So I just carried the baby down the road and I walked to a neighbor's house and I called my son's biological grandmother, who we absolutely loved, to come and get us. So she did. So I was 16. Well, when you're 16 years old, you're not used to getting a job, getting a car, paying bills. You're not used to anything like that. And I didn't even know what I was supposed to be doing other than I need to get a job. I have to take care of this baby because my mother was, for those 3 weeks, financially supporting the both of us, and I didn't want to live with anybody else that I felt like I was going to be a burden to. So they picked me up. We went to their home. I was out looking the next day for a job and I got it. And I've, been working ever since, but it's different people in my life along the way that has taught me this world don't owe you nothing. And everything you want, you have to work hard and get it yourself. You cannot depend on anybody for financial help, for emotional help. You can't. You have to get up and do things all by yourself. Mm-hmm. So I've had all these people come through my life that would show me how to do it and never have to depend on anybody. I turned around and I did it again whenever I divorced my children's father, my first husband. I had to redo it all over again. I had to get a job. I had to buy myself a car. I had to do all these things. But those people that came through are still very important to me today, because everything that they taught me, when I tell you I've taught my kids this, I've taught my kids this, because anything can happen to me tomorrow. You better know how to wash your clothes. You better know how to check the oil in your car. You better know how to do something. You have to know how to do it. So it's really the people that was in my life that taught me, how to take care of things. And they taught me well, and they taught me how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Though the marriage did not last and she was truly back on her own again, this time with 4 little babies, she talks about the relationship with her first husband. And though she always talks how much she is so in love with her current husband, who she has been married to now for 15 years, and we will get to that part, it feels like there's a sadness and longing there, that a sadness and a longing in a way that, he suffered, her first husband suffered with his own issues. And on other TikToks, she talks about it. But they were able to navigate co-parenting. And I just found that to be incredible, because when you have, things not end well, it would be really easy for it to be complete chaos. And when your childhood didn't really have any role models on how to navigate relationships, I do think Ophelia has internalized the best parts of her father, whatever those were. And there seemed to be so many that though he died so young for her, it appears that attachment she had with him, there were things she internalized in his goodness and his strength and his love. And I have no doubt that she still carries those in her heart today, because she truly talks about how much she loves her daddy. And you can see it. You can understand why. So this next part, let's follow her and understand some more about kind of where life leads her next. It really is amazing that you have sort of overcome so many things, and it shows in the way you talk to people, right? In the way that you provide feedback and love and support and sometimes challenge. And I love it when you're spicy. You're actually really funny. Like, I find you to be, when you're like, I'm from Texas, so it doesn't come out. Also, my Southern friends, I've been in California for a long time, but there's a part of you, it's just this strength that shines through, clearly your love. But I'm wondering, like, what happened between, so you had 3 more children with your first husband. Is that what happened there? And
yes.
How old were your little ones when you were back on your own again, and kind of what happened over the next few years?
Oh, so I left at 16, and I, lived with roommates and things like that. Well, by the time I was 18, I meet my first husband, and I just fell in love with not just him, but his family. Mm-hmm. His family was exactly the family that I had been missing for years. Mm-hmm. And I am still part of that family today. His father is my dad. Mm-hmm. I don't skip a beat when it comes to we spend every holiday together. I mean, that's my adopted family. Mm-hmm. So on Christmas, we go to my husband's family, and then we go to that family. And that, I think that speaks volumes. So we get married at 18, and we get pregnant right away. And then we had our daughter, who will be 21 in September. Well, we had 2 other children after her. So we ended up having 4 babies in the home. And we were married about 6 years. And I would have stayed had there not been affairs and addiction in the marriage. I probably would have forgiven, I did forgive the first affair that happened, but it was a problem with him. He just could not stop. And then through that, addiction happened. And then with addiction, he became physically violent whenever he didn't have the drugs. Whenever he was in withdrawal, I was the attack bunny. And I needed to make the choice. I needed to get out. So we were only married about 6 years. We divorced and we remained friends. We remained friends the entire time. This was, 2003 or 4, I think, something like that. He remarried. He did not get better. He got worse. And in fact, it initially led to him no longer being with us anymore. He passed of Mother's Day 2019. But when I left him, I had to do it all over again. At that moment, I didn't know where I was going to go or what I was going to do because, again, I didn't have family at the time other than his, and I wasn't going to really ask them for anything, although I know I could have, but I didn't want that. So I had to get a little apartment. I had to get an older vehicle. I just started from scratch. But they were very little. I think my baby was 3 when we divorced. He's now about to be 18 next month. So that's how their ages now, my children's ages are 23, 21, 19, and 18. So they were tiny. They were so tiny and really just didn't even understand what was going on. But I think my oldest son definitely had some questions, and I talked to him about it because I always feel like it's better to be honest with them, despite no matter if you feel they're going to judge. I'm so sorry. I need to shut this door. Feel if they're going to judge you for something or if they're going to have even more questions. With me, I don't feel holding anything back from my children or keeping something from them is ever helpful. I would rather just get it all out there in the open just so that they know. So I did talk with them about it, and they know now. Of course, the older that they have gotten, they know now exactly what happened and why I did what I did. But they were little, though, definitely.
And it sounded like you've shared that you guys co-parented pretty well. I've heard you say that all those years. Yeah. So that's pretty amazing given the fact that you could have been, bitter about it and mad and not able to engage. But it sounds like you were able to really navigate that part as a co-parent really well with him.
I am the type of person, and this aggravates my husband so much, but he don't understand how this is. I would rather forgive and fix something, okay, than to hold all that bitter and anger in the inside where it makes my heart sour. So sure, a lot of people didn't understand why I chose to still be friends with him. I was friends with his wife. I just loved her to death. But how lucky was I to have 2 moms for my kids, and my kids had 2 dads, and we spent holidays together, and the kids loved it and I loved it. And it was very easy to co-parent with him because he had the same feelings and same mentality as I did. He didn't want to deal with all of that unnecessary drama either. He would rather just be friends and raise these kids. So he made it very easy for me to do that also.
Okay, so now we're heading into the part where I truly was first drawn to her, which is really about the relationship with her very abusive and very sadly struggling and toxic mother, and how she went into the place today where she no longer speaks to her mom. It's been many years. And we talk about people struggle with this issue, right? It's your mom. It's your only mom you'll ever have. Are you sure you should do that? But that no one in your life is worth it for you to allow them to destroy you and take you down. And we never end up in no contact without many, many battles along the way. And so she references it, but clearly over the years, even after she moved out with the baby, she tried to make it work. And eventually you reach a point where you're done and you can't go back. And that's what this next part is about.
Can you talk a bit about, how do I separate from my mother? I always say this. I think that relationship theoretically is the most complicated one in the world, right? They're supposed to be our source of safety, ideally. And then we have these mothers sometimes who are not, they're the opposite source of safety. And so a lot of them, I think, struggle with like, well, how do I separate from her? How do I go, people always ask me, well, do I go no contact? So we're talking about forgiveness, and yet the healthiest thing to do sometimes is to not be engaged with your mom. So what has that relationship been like with your mom? How have you navigated that? Because I do think all of that is what's led to how you are this mother on TikTok. That is just amazing. You're like the mother that you deserved is how I see you when I watch you. You know what I mean? It's like, and for many people, I know that they see you that way. But I do think it's important if you can share about that, because it is a complicated relationship. I know you've probably had to navigate a lot of other things with her over the years in some ways.
And you know how you always hear people say somebody is in an active addiction, and you always hear people say they'll get ready when they hit rock bottom. They'll be ready whenever they're ready. You can't push them to do it. They're going to wake up one day and say, you know what, I need to take my life back. It's the same scenario to me. What I did was I had a situation that happened with her, and I told myself, literally looking in the mirror, I told myself, and I said, you are done today. That's it. You're done today. I changed my phone number. This was years ago. So I think Facebook had just come into play maybe whenever I had cut it completely out, because even after I'd left home at 16, I still gave my mother chance after chance after chance. And that wasn't the last time I was talking to her.
Yeah, you kind of guys had an off and on relationship during that time? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But it was this last straw that I told myself, that is it. I'm done. I am not going to hurt anymore. And this is the reason for it. So I need to remove it out of my life. Mm-hmm. So I changed my phone number. I even moved. I even moved out of my rental home, which was easy. I know a lot of people can't do that if they purchased a home. They can't just up and move. But for me, it was the right moment, and I did that. So I moved out of the rental property I was at. 6 months later was basically Facebook. I went on there and made sure that I could not be found by her. There were different steps that I took to make sure that I don't want to be contacted. That was my way of doing it. Now, I don't know if that's going to be easy for everybody else, but it was easy for me to do because I had hit that point where that I was just done. I was done. Right. So it was not hard for me to let go of this mother that for years I had been wishing I was going to get, or wishing that she was going to change, or hoping and praying that she would have an epiphany one day and just be like, you know what, I've been a terrible mother. I need to call my daughter and apologize. I quit wishing all of that and stuck to the reality of my life. And the reality was, she's not going to change. There's no reason for me to even be hanging on by a thread anymore. It needs to be cut. It needs to be cut. But like I said, it may not be as easy for other people. But it was easy for me at that moment because it was the rock bottom. I was done.
Right. I think it's that like longing for her, that fantasy that we want so much. I think people get stuck in that, like what you're saying. It's often they think, well, if she just understands, like, can I send her this video you made about borderline? Like, that's going to change her. It doesn't. But we get stuck in that longing. You're right. I think until one day, I always say the same thing. One day you're just done. Like, you can't figure out when, you're just done. But people get stuck in that phase with their moms, I think, because they feel so much guilt, like they're being bad daughters. And I think society tells us, well, it's your mom. Well, it's your only mom. I mean, did you have any of that in your ear at times?
Oh, my own husband told me that. My own husband told me, he said, that's your mom. You need to forgive her. And I said, honey, you've never met her. You don't know how she is. Please don't tell me that. And it took one time, which was the last straw, that he met her and he seen what was going on and he understood. So even he would tell me that. Right. But I just quit listening to it. I was like, this is not their life. This is my life. They're not the ones hurting with this. And I don't have to, just because somebody says something doesn't make it true. So just because somebody says, oh, you need to forgive her. I have forgiven my mother. I forgave her many, many moons ago. I just don't want her around to potentially be able. My mother is dangerous. My mother is dangerous to herself, dangerous to her family, to my heart, to everything around. So it's okay if somebody says to you, that's your mom, you need to forgive her, you need to try to work on it. Well, but how about you go tell the mother that, okay, and say, hey, that's your daughter, you need to fix that. You don't need to do, but they don't. They focus on, because I guess our mothers give us life, that they hold a greater tier than us. I don't know. That's kind of how I see it. But yeah, I quit listening to that. And then people kind of gave up telling me that, because they started to see that I was happier. I was no longer depressed. I was no longer, I was never jealous, but I was envious of people who had good moms. When I met my mother-in-law, before she became my mother-in-law, I found myself being so envious of my husband and just thinking, why couldn't I have a mom like that? I don't understand. Well, it's just, some things just aren't meant to be, I suppose. But yeah, I get it. I get it.
I think it's so complicated. I think sometimes people don't realize how much freedom you feel when you finally give yourself permission to just not do it anymore, right? It's like when you're in it in that chaos, but once you're on the other side of it, you can like breathe. It's people think you're going to feel bad. You actually feel better.
I was relieved.
Yeah.
When I went to the phone place and got my number changed, I was relieved. When she made me leave the house at 16 years old, I remember waking up the next day feeling relief off of me. I was relieved from I honestly, and I've had a couple of therapists tell me that they've even told me that they think she has caused me to have PTSD. And I believe it. I believe it. There are so many triggers right now from her that if I'm around it, if I see it, if I recognize it, my heart will start beating really fast. I can't be around a person that reminds me of my mother. My leg will start shaking. It's bad. It affected me so bad. Yeah. And to think that I haven't seen her in years, and to know that it still affects me like that today, I mean, that's strong. That's what I mean by dangerous. That is what I mean by that relationship that she gives out is dangerous.
100%. I mean, that's my passion, is like childhood trauma, right? It's that complex ongoing trauma at the hands of someone that should have been a safe person, I think causes the most damage, right? Because it's ongoing. And, it causes issues. Like I think you mentioned you have like hypertension. It causes chronic health issues, anxiety, depression, self-esteem. I think you've mentioned struggling with body dysmorphia. Like you are, to me, like when I think about you clinically, the amount of trauma you had to have endured in many parts of your life, not just your childhood, which is why it makes me love you so much more, knowing what I know, what I do every day, that you found a way to still be a survivor and to be an inspiration, because frankly, you could be a train wreck and nobody would blame you, like honestly. You know what I mean? So all those things, it does leave these lingering effects on our lives.
Everything that Ophelia has gone through, in my mind, and that's true for all of us, has prepared her to show up the way she does on her TikToks, right? With people with so much strength and compassion and love. And yet it hasn't come easy for her. And so I think it's important, as we talk about how we dig deep inside to survive, it isn't always easy to do it. And yet we're the only ones that can do it. And so here Ophelia talks more about sort of how all that has made her who she is, how that connects to her success on TikTok. And really, it's not even just success, it's just Ophelia being Ophelia. And I think that you'll see that in this next part.
Well, hey, honey, I'll help you out. You're not getting a text back because you're shallow. Well, that's just how it is to it. And I don't mean to be mean, honey, but that's all I seen in the video. See, with your stitch, you were implying that a woman of a certain size could get a person, but you can't. Well, maybe it's because you're looking at all the wrong things in life. Change your thought process. A woman is beautiful, and she's lucky she found somebody to love her for exactly who she is. See, I believe that there's somebody on this earth for everybody. We just got to open up our eyes and our hearts and be willing to accept them when they come along. But if your mind is closed off like it was in that stitch, well, honey, you ain't never going to find your person. Better change that thinking, my darling. I hope her feelings wasn't hurt in that video because she's beautiful. So do better, baby.
But it's like the motto I always say, you can choose to be better or you can choose to be bitter. Mm-hmm. I don't want to walk around and hold anger and bitterness in my heart. Oh, well, I wasn't given a good mom. Oh, well, my first marriage didn't work out. Oh, well, I've been out on my own since I was 16. None of that matters. What matters to me and what I look at is how I got through it. And how I don't have to go back to that. I'm never going to go back to it. And all I'm doing is moving forward. I'm just making my life better by each month that goes by. That's what I'm doing. And the reason I started doing my TikTok videos is this. What you see is what you get. I truly am a human being that loves everybody, no matter what. Mm-hmm. I can't see somebody go through something and I just sit there and think to myself, oh, well, that's their life. I'm not going to get involved. That's not me. My husband knows when I tell him to hold my purse, I'm getting involved in something. Right. Because I've been there and I know what it feels like. And I know what that heartbreak of, a divorce or a parent that just abused you. I know what all of that feels like. And I would rather be somebody's safe place than I would rather be somebody that's, I don't want to be like, yeah, you should hate them for that. Look where you are today. It's because of them. Well, you don't have to be there today. You can be over here building your life. You could be getting your master's degree or you could, I feel like despite what anybody goes through, you still have a choice. You can either choose to make the best of it, or you can choose to dwell on it. I don't want to dwell on it. And I'm trying to show other people to do that. It is okay what you have been through. It doesn't make you as a person, but it is going to make you more kinder to everybody else because you're going to understand what it feels like and, as a heartbroken person. But I just took what I didn't have and I put it to use with things that I do have today, which is being a mom, being a person that loves their career and loves what I do. I'm a huge animal lover. It's just like when I learned with my first marriage, every mistake I made in the first marriage, I took that along with me in the second marriage so that this one could be better. All of those things are learning experiences. You just have to find out what it is in those situations and what it taught you. That's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking that about you because you've talked about being in your marriage like 15 years. And, when you have oftentimes a challenging childhood, your relationship skills can go one of two ways. You can become stronger and more committed, or it can become this series of broken, issues. And so I thought about just with your kids and as I watched you, being in my analytic head, wow, it really is true that she has found a way to build these healthy relationships. And I think that that's not always an easy thing to do.
No, it wasn't. And, we had tough moment like 3 years ago, my husband and I, and then we got back in therapy and it was wonderful. And we're better today than we've ever been. But relationships still have to have work done to them, still have to have maintenance. It's just like when you drive your car, you can't drive your car for a year and not have your oil changed. You have to maintain the goodness of something. Right. So I see the same thing about relationships too. And I'm not a person that gives up. I'm not a person that gives up. I will try to fix and repair anything as long as somebody is not physically being hurt. That's my That's what happened in my first marriage. It just couldn't be fixed. There were some problems and I had to make that decision. But as long as it can be repairable, I just believe in fixing it. I don't believe in giving up. I just don't. I don't believe in giving up.
Well, that's very apparent. I see you and the advice you give and the way that you just love on people. What has it been like for you? I mean, I went back through your whole account because I've been following you for a while, but I didn't realize you just started your account like back in August of 2020.
Really, August of 2020, I just posted my first little TikTok about my little cat Gigi.
Yeah.
The video that really put me on the map was a video back in January, I think, or it might have been November. I'm sorry, might be November, of a girl trying on a dress that she wanted to. She was excited to show her mom the dress and how great she looked. And basically her mom said some bad things about her appearance. So all I did was stitch the video and basically said, I had one of those mamas too. And then as I got older, I quit listening to that heifer. And I started to believe that I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. And I'm beautiful. And so are you. It's basically how it went. And it just lit the internet up. And I told my husband, I said, that is it right there. That is it. Because when I first opened TikTok, I seen all the good. People having babies, people graduating, people being reunited with family after COVID, all these great things. But I also seen all the bad. And I seen bullying. And I seen people saying horrible things to someone because they are, a different race than themselves. I seen people making fun of the trans community. I seen all these bad things. And I was sitting on the couch one day talking to my husband. I said, babe, I wish I could help. Like there has to be some kind of way that I could help to let people realize that there is good people in this world. And my husband said, well, honey, you live in Mobile, Alabama. I don't think there's anything you're going to be able to do, but I love you and I support you anyway.
Forgot who you are.
2 days later, that video went viral. And what was said on the video was, I wish I had a mom like this. I feel safe here. I don't want to leave. She's so caring. She's so wholesome. I told my husband, I said, you were wrong. Number one, you were wrong. Because it doesn't matter where somebody comes from. Somebody can always see and hear you. But that one opened the floodgates. So I said, well, that's it. That's what I need to do. I need to just be open and honest with my own life. And I need to be loving and caring to people who I feel need to hear it the most. Okay. I need to speak up for when I feel is the right time to speak up. Because I don't speak up on every single topic in the world. I speak on the ones that basically are closest to my heart.
You're ignorant.
I'll take this one, honey. You just enjoy your lunch, baby. To the dumb heifer commenter, okay? Judging somebody solely on a southern accent is about the silliest thing I've heard, okay? If you can't tell by now that there are racists everywhere, I don't know what to tell you. They're in the north, west, east, hell, they might be in the ocean for all we know, but they're everywhere. See, had you met me in a library one day and talked to me for 10 minutes, you'd realize that I was good people, okay? Not everybody in here in the South is bad people. I'm sorry, but that's the truth, honey, okay? But I don't care what you look like or what you drive or what religion you practice. The only thing I care about is how you treat me, because I want to treat you just as good. I just think people deserve respect, but judging somebody solely on the accent is silly, honey. You might be missing out on meeting a good person. I'm one of them, and so is this baby. Do better, honey, and keep them comments to yourself.
So you won't see a lot of those clapback videos, but the ones that you do, those mean something to me. That means, hey, please let me say this to you, and maybe you can have a different perspective than the one that you originally had when you made your video,
Well, it's definitely making a difference. I mean, there's no question. I just think it's such a beautiful story, as you being called Momma Tot with your Tater Tots, right? That this mother that you didn't have, like for you to, all of this to lead you to this point in your life where you are getting all of this love and support and giving so much love and support in a mother role, first and foremost. Like, I just think it's so beautiful. It really is.
I appreciate that. That is my goal, because it's so hard to think about anybody really that not everybody's blessed with those good parents like that, because it's not just mothers, it could be fathers too. I hear that all the time as well.
Right.
But what I have discovered is that people really come to my page to get a little bit of piece of enlightenment and joy and happiness for the day. And that makes me feel good, because if I can just be that person for them, even though virtually, I love that. I'll never stop doing what I'm doing as long as somebody is feeling some sort of love, even though I am a stranger. That makes me feel wonderful. I can't thank them enough, even just for saying that, you know?
Mhm. Well, I mean, it's just so powerful. How are you keeping up with all of it? I mean, watching your account grow so much, and I see how much you respond. I mean, you are on it. Like, how are you doing that?
It is very overwhelming because I do work 6 days a week. I decided to take off today just to take a little break
Good.
because I need it. I've been taking one Monday off a month. But it's so when I'm at work, I do have a little bit of time in between when I'm waiting on something to come through or something like that. So I'm basically taking any opportunity I can to go on there, respond, reply. I mean, I can't reply and respond to everybody, of course, but I certainly try. But I don't want them to think that I didn't see them or I didn't hear them, or I don't want them to think that. So yes, I do work a lot and it is very time consuming, but the reward is them. I woke up this morning and there was an email in my message box on TikTok that told me a couple months ago they contemplated taking their life. And they opened TikTok and there I was cheering somebody else on for doing something great in their life. How could you not stop? How could you stop doing that after getting a message like that? I can't. Again, it's very overwhelming. And I know I can't save everybody, but I can certainly try in some way. I can certainly try. I mean, I don't see myself as anybody other than this nice little country lady from Mobile, Alabama, who works at a furniture store and takes care of 4 kids and a bunch of animals. That's all I see myself as. But other people do not. They see me as something truly, truly special. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel good, especially coming from growing up and being told the complete opposite. I was never going to be anything. I was never going to have anything because I quit school. I was going to be a high school dropout. I was nothing but white trash. I could just keep going. But I quit listening to her the older I got and removed that negativity out, and my life got better. My life has been nothing but better ever since.
I believe it. I believe it. What are your hopes and dreams for now, for moving forward? Do you have anything you want to do with where this is taking you? I mean, I think you're so humble, and I know that no matter what, you're going to just keep doing it. But do you have any dreams on your heart or things that you want to do?
I would love to travel and have just seminars where I just meet people and I tell them about my life and I get a chance to meet and communicate with them afterwards. I would absolutely love to do that, to just connect with people that are connecting with me now on social media. I think that my story is a grand story, but it certainly has a happy ending. That would be a dream, but I don't think I'm going to get that. But that one would be number one, of course. That one would be number one.
Okay. Well, I can't imagine how you can't do that, honestly. Like, I think that would be a perfect fit for you. And we've been in a pandemic, but outside of that, which will be ending hopefully at some point, I think that would be incredible for you. I could totally see you doing that, honestly.
I hope so. I just don't really know how all that kind of stuff works. And, maybe somebody will reach out and offer that to me. If they do, I would certainly take it.
Have you thought about writing a book?
A long time ago, I did. A very long time ago, probably like 10 years ago. I certainly have, but that's another thing. I don't know where I would even get started at. I have no idea, but yes, it has crossed my mind because me not even hitting 40 yet, which would be a wonderful milestone, of all the things I've been through and had to overcome, but to see me now, and that's without social media, just my life in general, what I've built for myself, would be something to definitely read about, and people can relate to it, because what I went through then is what people are still going through now, today. It might have ended for me, but it hadn't ended for them. That would be my purpose, to write a book in hopes in some way it would help other people be able to push through and know that when you get over that hill, you're going to see a rainbow. It happens to everybody. You just gotta keep climbing the mountain.
Yeah, I think that is, you just got to keep fighting, right? Some days you just want to give up. So I always say rest a bit if you need to, but like keep pushing, keep going, So I just think you're amazing. I think that you are I think it's the realness in you and the loving kindness. And like I said, you're definitely a very intelligent person and a very funny person. So when all that kind of comes together, when you're just putting it out there, it just feels so authentic. And I think that's what we're all longing for, is just people being vulnerable and real. And then you kind of back that up with being loving. I adore you. I think you're amazing. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I was like asking you and I would ask you again. And I don't know. I just think you're amazing. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It is all my pleasure.
Clearly, Ophelia Nichols is an angel herself. She truly is an incredible human with an incredible story. I think there's so much more we still don't know, but there are millions of people who are benefiting from her own struggles because they do show up in the way that she shows up. You get it. You get it that she gets it. She's been there. She's not sitting in some ivory tower telling you how you should be doing it. She's telling you what she thinks, and it is coming from a place of compassion and love. And I saw it when I asked her about her dreams. It was a question I hadn't even planned to ask her, but it just occurred to me, well, you're giving back so much. What do you want? And so whoever's out there listening, if you are the connected people who can create this dream for Ophelia to show up in person and speak to people and share her stories, I think it would be a pretty amazingly spectacular and successful thing to do, because people love her. They really do. They really connect with her. She is a real human example of what it means to overcome. And all of us, maybe our stories aren't that bad. Maybe they're so much worse. It doesn't matter. What mattered to me in this interview was the example she sets. But at the end of the day, she is someone who has overcome so much, and she gives back so much without bitterness. As she says, be better, not bitter. Your story matters. And I am hoping to continue this series with others who have access to large platforms to talk about their mental health journeys. Whether or not they're about childhood trauma, maybe it's about substance abuse or mental health challenges. I truly believe that we cannot heal what we don't understand. So thank you, Ophelia. I am truly grateful to you. It really was such a pleasure meeting you, and I have no doubt that this is just the beginning for you. Thanks for watching. Please feel free, as I said, to subscribe and click the bell. Please follow Ophelia on TikTok at ShoeLover99. She also has a podcast called Tater Tots, and I'm sure many other products and merchandise and other things you can support and follow. But at the end of the day, I hope you're inspired, and I hope you know that your story matters, and I look forward to sharing more. Take good care. See you soon. Bye, guys. And I'm sure many other products and merchandise and other things you can support and follow. But at the end of the day, I hope you're inspired, and I hope you know that your story matters, and I look forward to sharing more. Take good care. See you soon. Bye, guys.